A revolutionary. Say whoa. Trap revolutionary. Got the wave it too scary. Doing this thing like Malcolm ain't by any means necessary. We ain't got it by no one seen hand. We got the master plan. Get the movement going on. Right here where we stand, man. We bucking and stumping, fist pumping. Even though they tried to set us up for failure and kill us, we keep on coming. That's why somebody gotta step up and say something about the bullshit. Because if not, the blind gon' keep leading.
Go on, y'all. Y'all want to do a video real quick talking about real estate investing. Like, I know, my channel, I try to talk about a variety of things, but I do want to provide some ideas, like, for actually creating wealth, generators wealth. Like, the video I just did was about, reparations and us not having generational wealth. So this video, I want to speak about something that can help you generate generational wealth or create generational wealth. So I'm in the real estate. I literally just purchased a home, and I'm not a guru or nothing like that, but I have done 4 properties. My 4th property that I'm doing, I'm about to rent it out. 1 property I sold, so basically I have 3 properties now, of course, and my home. So basically, you want to say 4 properties. But anyway, the 3rd property I have that I will rent out, I bought it for $135,000. I follow my numbers. My loan amount was $168,500. I put in $22,516 and 19 cents. Now I'm going to rent it out and I'm going to make approximately maybe about $2,700 a month. So my cash on cash return is going to be 40.7%, which is a ideal cash on cash return because I bought it so low and I'm getting rents higher than market value rents. How you do that is a program, most time of housing voucher program. And this is the thing people, a lot of people make, hey, they'll say they'll make, they'll make the argument like, hey, you don't want to rent your property to anyone on Section 8, which they call Section 8, but it's a voucher program. It's really actually it's called housing voucher program. Section 8 is just the section of the law or, pretty much the federal, regulations, I guess, that state, the housing voucher program, the section for the particular program, in the government. So you can get higher than market rent rates from the housing voucher program. Now, being that I'm getting higher than market rent rates, that'll make my cash on cash return greater. Also, my return on investment greater, because if I'm getting in 12 months $19,000, my cash flow is I'm getting my net is $19,000. And also I invested $22,000. So that's like at an 88.5% return. That's the way you actually build wealth. You can buy a property distressed, rehab it, refinance the property, and then you can actually pull cash out of that property and move on to your next property. Use that cash that you got on your refinance. You use that money and go to your next property. And actually, let's call it a birth strategy. But this is something where you can create wealth. And I know I don't really talk, kind of like been keeping stuff on the wraps. I really don't like to talk about what I'm doing to create wealth. Because it's like, people say, hey, man, you don't want to talk about what you're doing because somebody might be hating on you. They'll be hating on hating on your progress or your vision on what you're trying to do, and then they may send some bad energy out there and cause you to fail. Hey, that can happen, but let God be on your side. That's how I say to that. Pray about it, man. God be on your side. But this is the way to create wealth. Even my home, but that's in referring back to my home, what we talked about, because he was asking me like, man, how are you doing what you're doing? I say, bro, because he asked me the question like, man, can I do that? And also, can I get a property like that and keep it to where I'm moving in and I don't have to spend so much cash on a new home? I said, bro, that's the ideal. That's how you do it. You move into, and this is for y'all out there too. If you want to save money, instead of going buy a house that somebody else done built or whatever, rehab, the flip, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? What you can do. See, we don't like to do the work. I know we want instant gratification. Go buy a house, a distressed property. This is the key. Listen to what I'm saying. You go buy a distressed property in the best neighborhood. Fix it up. That brings up its value. That's going to automatically, it's called forced appreciation. You bring up the property value. Then you go to the bank and say, hey, I want to place a mortgage on this house. You first go get a loan. Remember the term, a hard money loan. You can go get a hard money loan and invest as long as your finances are right. Most of the time, an investor, a hard money lender is going to give money to you as an investor. You take that money. Also, you tell them, hey, I need about $30,000 to fix this property up. Or 30, 40, 40, 50,000. On this property I'm doing now, I got 50,000 to rehab the property. You take that money, you fix up that, you rehab that home. It's going to force the appreciation. That's called forced appreciation. It's going to bring the value of that home up because you put money into it. Then you go to a bank. You say, hey, I need to refinance this property. All of this information you provide to them. You rehab the home. You get the home appraised. The home is going to appraise for more. You fixed it up. And the fact that it's in a good neighborhood, pretty much homes in that neighborhood have sold or have appraised for a decent value. When you rehab that home, you force that appreciation, you get that appraisal, that home is going to appraise for the comps in the area, the comparable homes in the area. It's going to appraise for the value similar to those homes. So you fix it up, you force appreciation, is going to appraise for a similar value to the value of the homes in the area. And that's going to help you refinance. That home is going to have more value since the homes in the area have basically they have a good value from being in a good area. Now, when you refinance, you pay that hard money lender back. After you pay them back and you get money back since you, like I said, you got a distressed property, you bought it for low, you put money into it, you rehab it, you fixed it up, you will end up coming in lower. The cost that you paid for it and the hard money loan you got, you will end up coming in lower on your refinance than you have to pay the hard money lender back. So you might have actually all in, you might have like gotten, for instance, you might have got like me, I got the property for 135. I'm looking to be all in on this property at right around 180. Now, the hard money lender, I owe them 168. Like I said, remember I said, get the home appraised. Say the home appraises for 225. And then when you refinance it, you get 80% on that refinance, 80% of the value of the home. That's approximately, that's close to like 184,000. It just depends if, and especially if you have a good appraisal and the homes are appraising for a higher value, you're going to be able to take money out of that refinance, pay your hard money lender back, get that money that you got out of that refinance and go buy another property. So that's the strategy. That's really how you build wealth. Go buy a distressed property. You don't have to, even like I said, and you can move into the property. That's another way. Move into the property, rent a room out, or however you want to do it. If you got somebody staying there, if you got a 3-bedroom house, you got 2 rooms. You can be staying in one. Most of the time, people say, "Oh, you can go buy a multi-unit." You don't even necessarily have to do that. This is just a way to start out. Or you can, like I said, you can get the property, rent it. If you want to flip it and sell it, you can flip it and sell it. But this is a way. That's like I said. Me and my partner had talked. He was just keying in on fact, man, how can I just get a property for low, man? It's like I want to stay in it. And I was like, this is how you do it. You actually go get a distressed property in the best neighborhood possible. and you put a little work into it, refinance it, go put a mortgage on it, and your payment's gonna be low since you bought it for low. You put a little money into it, it appraised for a certain value, but you got it at a lower price, and the mortgage you got on it, you can pay, like I said, pay your hard money lender back, or if you want to, you can leave that equity in there. You don't even have to pull no money out of the property. That can go towards your equity and then keep your payments low. So, you can do it like that. You don't even have to pull the equity up out of there by getting the money back after you refinance to go buy another property. Because if you're like, hey, I just want to stay in it, have my monthly payments low, you can do that. Instead of, like I said, the instant gratification, going to buy a property I already fixed up and all of that. And it's like you're spending more. You're paying a retail value. This is the way you can pay a wholesale value. Take your time, get the property fixed up, and then go refinance. So that's just a strategy. I want to provide that information because this is actually how you create wealth. This is really the way you do it. Birth strategy. Remember that. Hard money loan. Get the hard money loan. Find a distressed property. The best. Remember the framework. This is the framework in real estate. We all in life. And that's why I was telling my lady, about this. I say in life, what we do, we work on frameworks. We work through frameworks. You got to have a framework for everything. This is investing. This is in, if you're doing real estate, even working out, you have to have a framework for working out. If you're trying to lose weight, you got to have a framework for that. Now, I'm going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. I'm going to eat less calories than I burn. My meal plan is going to be, 1,000 calories per meal. I'm only eating 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm going to make sure I only eat no more than, 500 calories in the morning, no more than, 500 calories for lunch, 1,500 calories for dinner, so on and so forth. It's a framework. You got to have it. Same thing with real estate. You got to have the framework. The framework, like I said, find the distressed property in the best area with the best house. You want to find the best properties in the area. You find maybe the worst home in that area. It's because it's a good area. The house is just kind of messed up. You get that house, buy it for as low as possible. You renovate that home. You buy it, you rehab it, then you go get the property refinanced. One thing you can do is stay in the property. Like I said, to get your monthly payments low. Or if you want to pull the equity out, pull the money out when you refinance, after you pay your hard money lender out, you pull the money out and go buy you another property. If you want to. But if you want to save money and, have your monthly payments low, this is somewhere you want to stay at, you can do it that way. That'll help you save money in the long run. Also, be a wealth because the property is going to appreciate. Even if you can do this, you can stay in the property a couple of years, then pull the equity out of it, then go get you another property and rent that property out or sell it. So, it's so many ways, to create wealth, in real estate. But this is just one way. I'm like telling people this is actually what you can do to keep your payments low. If you want to get a property, somewhere that's, like I said, in the best area, maybe area that you probably want to stay in, but you're not trying to have no high monthly payments. So that's just a way of doing it, man. I just want to get on here and say that because, like I said, I know some of us, sometimes we just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. You know what I'm saying? And some of us, we can help. I think provide information to help each other. So this is just one of the ways. I just think, like I said, my channel, I be talking about, a lot of stuff. Politics, sometimes relationship stuff. Maybe talk about workout stuff. Just life in general. But this is just one way, like I said, this is one way you can create wealth, and this is the way you do it. Like I said, remember frameworks. You buy one of the most distressed properties, maybe the worst home on the block, but in the best neighborhood. Get a hard money loan on that property. Rehab the property. Refinance the property. If you want to keep your payments low, don't take any equity out. Leave the equity in there. Pay your hard money lender back, and you pay your monthly payments. You done pretty much bought yourself a new home. You just delayed your gratification of trying to have a home that somebody already did fixed up or going to buy something new. Now you don't pretty much moved into a new home. Because when you rehab, if you like some of the property, like some, the contracts, when they fix them up, they really do, they really giving you a new home. You tell them, hey, I want this, and this, and I want it to look like this, and this, these floors, I want this paint, So you pretty much giving yourself a brand new home. You just putting the work in, to that home. Then when you refinance it, you keep your payments low like that. You don't even have to take no money out of the property. You pay your hard money lender back, stay in the property, have low monthly payments, and then you done created forced appreciation on the property. The property gonna appreciate, like the property I'm doing. It's pretty much estimated over 4%. The property gonna estimate it 4% in about 5 years. But I probably done created about an extra 50, maybe like 50,000 of equity in the home. So it's gonna be valued probably over like 225,000. I bought it for 135,000. So it just, that's just something I think everybody need to know. In that sense, dealing with real estate. We all need a place. We all need a place to stay. That's just a way to do it without having to spend a whole bunch of money doing it. But anyway, I'm gonna get up out here, man. I just want to say that, hey, man, this just one of these, one of the ways to create wealth and and be smart. Going about doing it, doing it the correct way, and being intelligent. While you're going about creating that wealth for yourself. Sometimes just delay your gratification process, man. And you'll come out on top when you do that. Kind of like me. My house, I've been over here in this home since 2016. I'm just go ahead and pay it off. Then, and that's my strategy. Get a number of homes, which I plan to do. My goal is to get 200. But after I get maybe like 20 or 30 homes, I might end up selling 15 of them, use that money and pay for me a brand new home. I'll pay cash, paid. See what I'm saying? Because once I get these homes, like I mentioned before, I buy probably the worst home in the best area, fix it up. These homes are going to appreciate in value. So if I go through and sell about 15, 20 homes, that'll give me enough profit off each of those homes. I won't even have to pay taxes I won't even have to have any, I don't have to pay taxes on those homes that I sold because I'm going like a 1031 exchange. I'm going to put it right back in more real estate. And that's cash. I done basically paid for a home cash, my dream home cash, without even having to, work a job or slave for it, or be, biting my nails trying to pay the mortgage payments on the home. So, think about that, man. Like, seriously, think about it. Consider the strategy. Like I said, it's the birth strategy. And that might help you, even like I said, instead of trying to buy a whole brand new home that somebody else done or fixed up, you can get in the home, take your time, fix it up, and have low monthly payments just like that, after you refinance. But anyway, I'm gonna get up out here. Just want to say that, I just want, like I said, get on here and provide some, useful information, something, like I said, something about building wealth, because I think we all can use that, some information to help put money in our pockets and also help save some money too. But anyway, till next week, y'all, I'm gonna get up off here. I hope all of y'all out there doing good, doing well, man, living life for the love and happiness, doing great, strive for greatness every day. And, like I said before, I appreciate y'all, looking at my videos, liking the videos, and then, sharing. But anyway, till next y'all, love y'all. All right, y'all.
fuck it, go ahead and blow off the dough. Step through the maze, man, and became amazing. About to rewrite history and change the page in a crooked book that never told us the true story. Like how we were kings and queens before the slave story, before the killing, stealing, and drug dealing on some real shit. We ran the world.